Hello to a few people who watch these videos. This is going to be another rant video. If you haven't seen my rant videos, I don't really get, yelly whenever I rant at stuff. I'm more of a passive-aggressive person when it comes to that, so it's a little bit less amusing to watch, but I'm pretty much just going to go over my thoughts after I've been enlightened by playing on PC about PC and console before and after the CCU, because I've played all versions. I'm not really going to touch too much to PC before the CCU because, no one really cares about that. But I'm going to give my thoughts on just the gameplay of each, the state of each of those, along with why I think the game has gotten to this point. Just because there's, I have an opinion on that. It's more of just, mainly one person that I feel like is mostly responsible for it, but I feel like it's more of a community thing as a whole. So first, I'm just going to start off with comparing just all four of those, console and PC before and after the CCU. After playing PC after the CCU, the first day that I went in it, I went straight into training mode and deflected the first 3 lights that I made a Kensei bot throw at me. In his chain shit. Not very good fucking, animation, light attacks, in chain, just immediately did that. On console, I have to super try hard to even block light attacks. So, I'm just gonna preface this and say, apparently, at least I have learned that I was born with retarded ass reaction times. And my reaction times have only gotten better from not only playing For Honor, but also just doing stuff outside that improves reaction time a lot because of another sport that I'm doing, but not going to get into that much. All you need to know is I'm a person that has stupid reaction times. And, I don't feel like the game should be balanced just around me. I feel like I have at least, one way to make the game balanced around, most people, or everyone, really. And that's mainly just to use mix-ups. This is where I'm going to get into the person that I don't exactly, like too much in the For Honor community. I love his, informational videos that are factual. I think his opinions are actual ass, though. I absolutely despise him in that regard. And that is Freeze. I think I've already made a video talking about Freeze, but I was just talking about one of his videos. This is more just in general. He really helps out the community with, making information videos and, max punish videos. I used his videos, all the time to learn all the characters' max punishes. I used to, before the CCU, I used to actually show people in the community how to play the game. That's how I usually spent most of my time before I actually started doing much of the YouTube stuff, just teaching people max punishes. The only character that I don't know all the max punishes for right now is Centurion, just because I didn't bother learning them after they made the changes, because the game was going downhill a little bit, and, people don't even use their punishes anymore, but that's besides the point. Back to the main thing, Freeze. The reason that I feel like he is a big part of it is just because he's pretty much a very big part of For Honor in general. Whenever Ubisoft themselves references your YouTube channel multiple times in their streams, all the time, which Ubisoft does whenever they're doing Warriors Den live streams. I've heard them mention Freeze's name multiple times, just because he has a very big, following. So, whenever you have a following that big, especially for such a niche game, people are just going to pretty much parrot exactly what you say. Which, can be nice if you have opinions that are good and that are healthy for the game, but not if your opinions are not healthy. And in my opinion, most of Freeze's opinions are not healthy. And the first one, the main one that I feel like, makes me not very happy, makes me not sog, is him saying that in order for something to be a mix-up, it needs to be completely unreactable. And the way that I interpret this is either the follow-up needs to be unreactable, or both the parts need to be unreactable. I'm just gonna guess the follow-up. I'm gonna call bullshit on that, right now. The most basic-ass mix-up you can do that you can do on most characters, especially since they like made it so heavies come out like a bit later, especially whenever you try to parry something. It even works on Gladiator, was like the fastest feint timings. Any heavy that's like 800 MS, which is most characters, if you try to parry a light on light timing, you can't actually feint in enough time to like block, parry, or deflect the heavy. Like, that's a mix-up right there. That is the core mix-up of the game, is a light or a heavy from neutral. And the amount of people that I see on PC that they just... I went up against a Tiandi whenever I was playing on PC. I only played on PC for a day, so I didn't get too much experience, but I played against a Tiandi in Ranked, and I played like how I did on console before the CCU. I'm gonna get into comparing those two, console before the CCU and PC after the CCU later, but I got called a turtle because I could react in enough time to feint. If I'm doing like a chain and I knew that my heavy didn't have hyper armor, I had enough time to react to him like throwing a dodge light or something, feint my heavy and parry it. Or if he tries to interrupt my chains, feint it and parry it. Because you can do that if you have like really good reaction times, or if you know what your opponent's like options are and you know like what they're gonna do. I feel like that should be what reads are. It shouldn't really be, oh, which way is he gonna throw the light attack, which is really just what it is on console. My main gripe with Freeze is that he really just does not give a shit about console players at all. Like, pretty much all of his videos, they're marketed towards PC players. And since he's pretty much the biggest information place for For Honor, since he only really talks about PC and only talks about their issues and completely ignores console players, that also means that everyone else just ignores console players. So whenever people are complaining about light spam after the CCU, and then Freeze just says, deal with it, or verbatim what he said is just adapt, which whenever you need like sub 160 reaction times with a good setup to like react to fucking light attacks, which is absolutely stupid. The fastest recorded human reaction time is 150, by the way, just in case we're not clear about that. Also, your reaction time goes down a bit if you completely relax. Pretty much don't even think about what the fuck you're doing. Lowest recorded reaction time for that was 80 milliseconds, which I'll get into doing that shit later. But whenever the person that is referenced by Ubisoft a lot gets a lot of attention from pretty much the entire community, including console players, I feel like he's a big part of why a lot of console players don't actually talk too much about the CCU. And also, whenever you're sponsored by Ubisoft, I feel like his opinions might be a little biased and might not work for everyone, because after trying frickin' PC For Honor after the CCU, it is an entirely different beast. If you watch any of Zanny's collabs as well, Zanny is probably one of my favorite creators. He's very epic, not gonna lie. He does variety gaming content. He's not even a full-time like For Honor YouTuber, but he always has over 100 latency because he lives in Asia. He has to use American servers, which you know, you can probably tell is pretty not good. He always has over 100 latency. Even he could react to lights on fucking PC after CCU. And here's where I'm gonna get into comparing PC after CCU and console after CCU. Console after CCU, I literally could not parry lights or even block them. In order to like actually parry lights semi-consistently and block them consistently, I have to pretty much defocus my vision. And the problem with that is if you have anyone else in the room, like here, like it's a psychological phenomena type thing, where if someone's watching you do something, you're usually like a lot worse at it. That's why a lot of times you can do some like amazing shit whenever you're by yourself, because you're more relaxed. But as soon as someone else comes in, you're like, hey, look at the shit that I can do. A lot of times you just can't like repeat that. It's kind of the same thing with just defocusing your brain, except even more. Just because your brain has to think less, the less you think, the faster it's gonna go. So you can do that if you want to be absolutely a fucking tryhard. You can also just really fucking try to focus, which is gonna put a lot more strain on your brain, but it's a lot more consistent. With, also defocusing for a while hurts your brain. For me, whenever I try to defocus, whenever I start actually getting hit by chains, like here with this Kensei, like my brain immediately starts focusing back up, just like, you're taking damage, and I pretty much just can't block his follow-up lights at all. Can't block or parry them, I have to guess. So if you get good enough at just completely defocusing your brain, then, you know, that's nice. You might actually be able to do something. But on PC, it is an entirely different thing. So, I already talked about, like, the first thing I did whenever I went to PC. But that's not the fucking half of it. I started playing Valk a little bit again on the PC. And, yeah, the only deflect that I missed, and whenever I say I deflect, I mean I fucking deflect literally everything. I do not parry. Parrying is for people that want stuff that does less damage, I guess. Because heavies are shit now. But the only deflect I missed was a Raider side heavy, and that's because I was in a fucking team fight. Pretty much every single fight I was in, I deflected the person like fucking 3 times because they just open with a light every single time. Like, that, I would even say that PC after the CCU is easier to react to shit after, than before the CCU on console. Which I honestly didn't even expect because of how many people are bitching about light spam on PC. Which I can I'm not calling people who complain about light spam on PC a bitch, because a lot of reaction time is genetic shit, and if you're not born right, then you might not even be able to actually do stuff without super tryharding. And some people, you know, want to actually have fun in the game, which is what some people don't understand. But then again, just making everything unreactable and making it so you literally just light spam is not making it fun. It's actually the exact opposite of that. But let's see, let's go back to mix-ups, shall we? You know how everyone, like, absolutely fucking hated Raider after his rework? And how people just, like, at least on console, absolutely fucking despised Aramusha, and how he went randomly to A tier in Dominion? I feel like a lot of that stuff has to do with their soft feints being unreactable. Which, you know, is a pretty good thing, I guess. Because, you know, they're unreactable, you have to guess, which, depending on your stance in this, is a good thing. Freeze would definitely fucking gets, like, hard over that shit. Seeing unreactable stuff. I'm not sure, like, what his gripe is with just playing the game. It's probably just because he had to play on, like, PC before CCU. Which, I played, like, a match. Like, only, like, one match. It wasn't even a 1v1, so I couldn't even fucking imagine what that would be like in ranked. Just because, again, PC after the CCU, it's easier to react to shit with frickin' than it was console before the CCU. Console before the CCU, it was actually a feat to, like, a deflect Warden's top light or fucking zone. Zone was only 500, but the animation was shit. Top light was 466, which is only like 33 milliseconds faster. But you have that, you have whatever the CCU took off, which was 100 milliseconds, plus the difference between console and fucking PC. So that's probably like an extra, like, around 200 or so milliseconds to react to shit. I'm pretty sure everyone and their fucking grandmother could react to lights. Like, that would be some actual shit. And, you know, I could understand why he would want a fucking CCU to make everything, like, reactable. But then again, you know, I feel like I have at least some way to make stuff, you know, work. Which I probably should have gotten into earlier in the video. I might end up putting it earlier in the video, but I don't think nah, I'm probably not going to. This is only the second take right now. I went like 11 minutes without fucking stopping, just because I feel like I've got a lot to talk about here. One way that I feel like would be pretty damn good, at least in my opinion, to, you know, make that light or heavy mix-up from fucking neutral or whatever the hell you want to do, dodge bash, don't fucking care, is either, well, I guess a combination of things. First, just standardize like heavy parry timings. Either make it so it's like zones with option selects where they just come out really, really late, which is already kind of a thing with the CCU because they hide the first 100 milliseconds of the animation, so your heavies already come out late. I'm gonna have like a video of me trying to parry on light timing, and then trying to feint and block a heavy that's 800 milliseconds, and the heavy's always gonna hit because you can't feint fast enough to block the light. That's why you always hit people so much with fucking raw heavies. That's the main thing that I feel like is that's the main reason why I don't like Freeze, or just really PC players in general, being like, oh, it has to be unreactable for it to be effective. Which, it really doesn't have to be. You just need to have a mix-up. You need to make them think you're doing something that you're not. Zany's epic, you thought, as he would say. You know, someone tries to parry something, instead you feint it, and then you throw a light. That's a mix-up. You throw a raw fucking heavy, that's a mix-up. They try to parry it, it's gonna be guaranteed your heavy lands. And then what do you make it so that people don't just block your lights and then try to parry heavies like they already do on fucking PC? Make all lights enhanced. You immediately go into your chains. Maybe you make chain attacks really fast, like in the CCU. Just make like standing attacks not that fast. That way you have a mix-up from neutral. It actually takes a little bit of skill, and you can actually defend on console. Or maybe you just keep that same mix-up during chains, although I'm pretty sure that would get tedious after a while. But the problem with having all lights being enhanced and then the main stuff coming just from non-unblockables is characters that have retarded-ass all guards, like BP. BP's all guard, I'm just going to give an example of how stupid it is. You can deflect a BP in either his chain starters, his lighter, his heavy, or his chain finisher. Well, I guess chain finishers. And he has enough time to go into his all guard to deflect. Not deflect. To fucking bulwark counter your deflect. Which is the fucking pancake flip. That is how fast that shit comes out. It is insane. So, all guards like that need to fucking, like, take a little bit more time to come out. I think Conk and Warlord's all guards come out around the same time. I feel like they still come out maybe just a bit too fast. It should definitely be a read for all guards. It shouldn't just be an option that you can do. So stuff like characters that have soft feints from their heavies would definitely obviously get a buff, like PK getting her dodge soft feint, making it so you know, you parry on light timing and then you try to deflect the heavy, or really just dodge attack. But then that adds another layer of mix-ups where, kind of like with normal option selects, you know, you try to bait out an option select, you parry it, it's kind of the same thing there, where you try to bait out them to do like a deflect or a dodge attack, and then you parry them, or you could just feint the heavy into a guard break because they're dodging. I feel like in order to help with that, you might need to actually improve, like not improve, pretty much make it so all dodge attacks have more guard break vulnerability, because Orochi's dodge attack, pretty much just characters like that with Orochi's dodge attack that have like no guard break vulnerability are just actually super duper annoying, because they can just option select you with the dodge attack, which would it wouldn't really need to go. I feel like it would probably like actually be better to stay, because that adds a little bit more variety. That would add another thing that your opponent actually has to guess for whenever it, well, I guess just another mix-up, because, you know, it's not a mix-up if it's not unreactable, you know? You can either dodge attack, or you can not dodge attack, and your opponent, whenever they feint the heavy, they can either guard break. If they guard break, you might dodge attack and it'll bounce off. If you throw the dodge attack, they might feint the heavy and then parry your dodge attack. There's a lot of levels to like mix-ups and stuff. It's not as easy as just, if it's unreactable, then it's a mix-up. Anything can be a fucking mix-up. Zoning from fucking neutral as Nusha with her 1 full fucking second zone is a mix-up. You know how many fucking neutral-ass zones I've hit with Nusha? Pretty much as long as I've been playing Nusha is how many I've fucking hit with that. Like, literally anything can be a mix-up. It doesn't have to be stupid, doesn't have to make people fucking rage. Like, the game could, like, everything could be like a fucking 1,000 milliseconds for all I fucking care. Heavies could be like 2 full fucking seconds. You could still have mix-ups with that light and heavy from neutral. If heavies just either fainted later or just came out later whenever you went for a parry. Which I'm pretty sure the game could actually just be like, oh, is this on light parry timing, and then have the heavy come out later. But mix-ups aren't really fucking, you know, super difficult to do. You don't have to have everything be unreactable, which is the main reason I'm making this video, is just because, like, the spark that made me make this shit was, just me playing on console. It's like, oh, game shit, no one's really talking about it. The reason no one talks about it is because Freeze doesn't talk about it. He doesn't talk about it because he doesn't play console. Even console YouTubers like Zanny or Solid Soul, they talk about it a little bit. Their voices don't really get heard because they're not big enough. There aren't really a lot of big console For Honor players. Tony made like a video in Dominion playing like the CCU, and he pretty much just light spammed the absolute fuck out of everything, and everyone just light spammed the absolute fuck out of him. And then, like, no one really talks about it at all. Even whenever people, like, maybe talk a little bit about it, because Freeze doesn't talk about it. Instead of just actually addressing the major problem that is in the game that makes, honestly, I'd say the game's unplayable right now. Like, absolutely it is unplayable. Whenever your entire offense is one attack, and whenever you parry that attack, you don't even get twice as much as the person that you're guessing for. It's honestly asinine. And here's the thing that I really fucking hate. I feel like this is just because he's sponsored by Ubisoft. He's not actually allowed to give, like, actual fucking criticism to Ubisoft, or else they're probably gonna fucking unsponsor the man. He may give, like, fake criticism where he's like, oh, these feats are bad. Or, like, these feats are really overpowered with Warmonger. Just really obvious shit. They're just like, these armor sets don't look very good, or these armor sets, you don't get armor sets for everyone. Or this new hero has reused animations. Even then he was defending that stuff. But pretty much, people just say whatever the fuck he says. I'm getting off track here, though. So, I'm just gonna go back to Freeze. This is another thing that I really dislike. I think there's like 3 things that I said that this is the main reason I don't dislike him for, but this one's really a big boy one. Whenever the CCU dropped, or really anything that Ubisoft does that is absolutely shit, like the Raider rework, Freeze is like, you just have to adapt. And it's like, I just want to shit myself every time I hear that, because it's just like, you know, you take this game, I feel like the game on console before the CCU was absolutely perfect. Like, that is the best state the game has ever been in any of the iterations of the game. And I don't even know if I'm gonna change that opinion, no matter fucking, like, what. Like, if you want to be Epic Turtle Man before, like, PC before the CCU, or PC after the CCU, then, like, fucking sure. But lights used to be hard to react to. You had to have, like, you had to, like, have big boy genetics. You had to, like, actually fucking try. You literally don't have to try on either iterations of the PC right now. At least if you have those fucking, like, you know, genetics. And, you know, actually fucking working on your reaction time. Which I don't really think that reaction time should be everything, which is why I think stuff shouldn't all be unreactable. That's fucking stupid. Because if you in order to make everything unreactable for everyone, it's gonna make the game look super fucking choppy, because everything's gonna be like 100 fucking millis. No, it's not gonna be 100, but that's an overstatement. It's gonna be like 300 probably. If you don't realize why, if you don't actually play the game, then this is gonna be really short. But whenever you do a attack, the reason that there's such a big difference between PC and consoles is because the input delay. It's not really the frames too much. 30 frames versus 60 isn't really, you know, big. It's half the frames. Frames don't fucking matter, pretty much. But console has about a 1/4 second delay, pretty much. That's on a good fucking day. Like, it feels so terrible, especially after the CCU, because your attacks feel like they come out 100 milliseconds slower. So you pretty much need to, let's see, 500 milliseconds. They made every attack 100 milliseconds faster. You know, that's pretty epic. And then you have the quarter second of delay. You need to have like 150 fucking reaction time to do that shit. You need to have the world record of reaction time to fucking react to stuff. Which I have to completely fucking defocus my brain to even kind of react to it. And even then, sometimes I'm using reads. You can tell if I'm using reads because I'll like switch my... Actually, no, you can't even switch your guard and then switch it to another one because there's too much delay in the guard switch. You have to get the guess right the first time. Same with parrying. Christ, I got off track again. Okay. So, Freeze, whenever Ubisoft does anything, he pretty much just does the big boy straw man argument of just, you know, adapt. Which, you know, you could have just, like, fucking thrown a heavy or something. Like, literally just don't open with lights all the fucking time. Don't be predictable. Use fucking mix-ups. Which, you know, in the state of the game then, you couldn't do. But, you know, that's pretty much how asinine that fucking is. That's like saying that. Just use mix-ups instead. Or just, like, just parry. Or, like, do fucking... It's stupid. And the reason I don't like that is because instead it's really just putting the blame on the player base instead of Ubisoft, which it really should be to Ubisoft, because whenever the CCU dropped, they pretty much nuked 80% of their player base because a very vast majority of their player base is on console. Game's pretty much unplayable on console. You cannot react to shit. You see Kensei's in ranked just light, and then they win. Because his lights do a lot of damage. He has a lot of range. He has hyper armor on his chain finisher light. You know, you have characters that have a lot of range and have good light spam are really good now. You see Valkyries, you see a lot of fucking Highlanders because they have retarded range despite like using only like half of their claymore. But you know, Freeze is like, now it's on the player base. You just gotta adapt, you know? Have sub fucking 150 reaction times. I'm sure you can fucking handle it, you know? Instead of saying, like, you know, the fucking reasonable thing, saying, like, hey, separate balancing might need to happen, which Ubisoft said isn't going to happen. And then the argument he uses for that is that this isn't their main game, but I feel like whenever you make the game fucking unplayable for a majority of the player base, they may or may not need to fix that. Or people may or may not, like, stop playing the fucking game, which a majority of the fucking console players did. If you go to pretty much any person that isn't Freeze's videos talking about, like, console For Honor, you see, like, pretty much every comment is talking about how they left For Honor because of how fucking bad the game is right now. It is absolutely fucking terrible. The only reason that I'm still playing it is because pretty much my entire channel is based around For Honor. I've spent more than 1,000 hours in the game. Like, playing the characters. It's pretty much just a fashion game at this point. The game's absolutely fucking terrible. On PC, it's good, but stuff is still just not fast enough, really. Separate balancing is an absolute fucking must. I'm not even going to get into next-gen consoles, because I have no idea there. It's probably more similar to PC. It might even be what console was before the CCU, just because I'm guessing it's not going to be quite as good as PC. But I am going to say that the PC that I was using to play was actually a pretty damn good PC. It was getting from anywhere from like 60 to like 100 frames per second during it, which I don't actually know if that's a lot in PC standards, but that's a fucking lot for me. Because frames on console are capped to 30, and sometimes if someone has really bad latency, it somehow affects the servers, but I'm guessing it's really just the servers being shit. Like, with all the fucking effort that the team puts into the game, I feel like they could at least make it playable, you know? And I'm gonna use the word effort fucking really loosely here. Because really just releasing characters with reused animations over and over again is just not very kosher. At least they gave a fucking lore reason why they did it with Griffin. For Warmonger, it's literally just Warden and Apollyon. But this isn't about them, this is about the fucking CCU being absolute fucking trash on console. But, reiterate, shit doesn't need to be unreactable in order for it to be a mix-up. The game doesn't need to be unreactable. Freeze, in his videos, talks about how he wants it to be unreactable for everyone, which is absolutely terrible. If you want to see how it is whenever everything's unreactable for everyone, just play on fucking console. You'll realize the game is absolutely fucking terrible whenever everything's unreactable. There's no skill. There's no mix-ups. People don't even do the right fucking light parry punish for any of the characters. I've gotten light parried like 3 times in total, which is honestly more than would have happened like before the CCU. But every single time, they don't even throw a fucking heavy. They just go straight into their light chains again. Because they just decide, they accidentally got a fucking light parry because they wanted to throw a heavy. Both times it's been a fucking Kensei because they were just randomly just throwing a heavy. Hoping to catch like a dodge or some shit. I don't know. But they accidentally get a light parry. They throw a fucking light attack. Or some random shit that's stupid. The average IQ of a For Honor player on console has gone down so much. It's really just because of CCU. The only thing that I'd say I have extensive game knowledge. I know pretty much the timing for everyone's attacks. I know everyone's options at every point. I know everyone's mix-ups. I know everyone's fucking, like, who can extend their dodge on what shit. I know who can option select. The only fucking person that can't option select in the game is Nusha! Which sucks because I play Nusha. She's at rep 10. Wish there was a guy Nusha, though. That would be better. But 42 damage deflect is still pretty damn good. On PC, I wasn't able to play her, though. I had to play fucking Valk with her plebeian deflect that's actually been changed and shit. Pretty much my game knowledge is only attributed now to just knowing whenever people can, like, fucking soft feint something into a guard break, or, like, fucking just how many lights they have in a chain to know whenever it's my turn to do something. With Kensei, it's really never your turn, because he just controls the pace of the fucking fight with his dodge attack. But I feel like that's just going to be the end of the video. There's not really too much to say. I know it's fucking long, because I reiterated a lot of the same points. I'm going to very briefly, reprise what I was saying. Don't like Freeze, because he's absolutely a stand for Ubisoft, and does not care about console players. Console players cannot get their voice heard because Freeze is pretty much the only outlet to For Honor, like the dev team directly, pretty much, because they're the only ones that suck as pee-pee. Game's really bad on console, and console before the CCU, best it ever was, and console before the CCU was harder to react to shit than PC after the CCU. You don't need to be unreactable in order to do mix-ups and shit. Those are just the main points. I know that pretty much, like, my YouTube channel is super small. The most amount of people that are going to see this is maybe, like, 200. Like, my most viewed video is 600. No one's gonna fucking see this. I'm some random fucking kid from Who Gives a Fuck complaining about a goddamn, like, niche-ass video game. Literally no one is gonna see this, pretty much. Let alone get this far in the video. Fucking 30-minute rant. Like, absolutely not. So, like, because it is a rant video, it might get a few more stuff, but it doesn't really have, like, Griffin or any trending shit in the title, so it probably isn't. I'm just gonna guess right now that's probably gonna get maybe 20 views, but that's my fucking 2 cents on the game. It's gonna take me absolutely forever to compile all of the goddamn clips to show the shit that I'm talking about in the video. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. See ya.